Good day, everyone. Welcome to our chapter 5. This is entitled Gender and Socialization. So, before we proceed, let's discuss first, or let's know our learning objectives. So, at the end of this chapter, we should be able to first discuss the impact of the influence of socialization on gender roles. Second, we will be able to compare and contrast gender roles in different cultures. Third, we will be able to describe how the society socializes individuals to accept gender norms. Fourth, we will be able to illustrate the three general approaches to understanding identity development. And fifth, we will be able to portray gender differences in social interactions through various group dynamics. So this chapter includes 2 lessons. First lesson would be about gender roles and socialization. So at the end of this lesson, we will be able to discover the factors that influence how a person acts or behaves appropriate to one's gender. And the second lesson for this chapter is about gender in government and law. At the end of this lesson, we should be able to evaluate the impact of gender inequality in the structure of society, trace the impact of a gender discrimination in the workplace, and discuss the laws of the society in gender equality in the workplace. Before we proceed discussing the first lesson for this chapter, according to a German-American psychologist, Kurt Lewin of 1890 to 1947 and 1954, in his theory, he explained that the life space of an individual consists of everything one needs to know about a person in order to understand his or her behavior in a specific environment at a specific time. So in his theory, he is trying to say that just like behaviorists, it is not always possible for us to draw accurate conclusions by simply observing overt behavior. But as an observer, we must also make sure that we see things from the individual's point of view at a given time. And in his theory, he also wanted to emphasize that the creativity of a people does not only pinpoint to a specific gender. So, ang usak creativeness, dili lang siya limited to a specific gender, but due to gender differences, so every individual also has a different level of creativity. So, in this chapter, we will be able to discover the different facets or different aspects associated with the gender roles and socialization in the context of family, school, labor, government, and sexist in language. And now, let's discuss the lesson 1 for this chapter, which is entitled Gender Roles and Socialization. We have the so-called family. Family is the primary social unit of human life. It is in here where the gender roles are taught from infancy through primary socialization. And in our family, our parents would always give the notion na ang blue color is para sa mga lalaki, while pink is for girls or para sa mga babae. And in our family, our parents would set a social norm that our father is the head and our breadwinner, while the wife or our mother takes good care of the household chores of the family. And it is also in here where we considered an enterprise for socializing the child, and it transmits the culture and values by example or teaching supported by a system of reward and punishment. So just like for example for the system of reward and punishment, if our parents would go out for other errands outside, we are expected to clean the house, and if they will return, if mabalik sila, they will give us a reward as an exchange of cleaning our house. So it is also in our family where our parents, among other functions, do not only teach us familial rules or mga rules na related to a specific family lang or within our family, but they also give us or teach us on the roles related to the structures of the society, or sa bahay pa lang is we are already trained on how to act or how to behave in the society or outside our family or the corners of our home. So, in the modern life today, the cultures and traditions in the family have changed and diverted to creating an equal society. Members of the faculty or members of the family or a specific person expresses opinions openly. They do not just express themselves or their emotions to their family members or to their parents and to their brothers and sisters, but also they already, or members of the faculty also expresses opinions or their emotions to their peers or to their friends outside. So, aside from family, we have the so-called adolescence. This is the transitional stage of physical. When we say physical, this includes the development of the physical features of a person, or for girls, we have the enlargement of the breast, and for the development of muscles for boys. And also, it is in adolescence where there is a development of an emotional and psychological where it prepares an individual to play the roles as an adult or of the adults. So, adolescence marks the beginnings of puberty, and it starts to explore gender identity and sexuality comprehensively. So, it has been taught a while ago na gender roles is natabian na siya or tudlo na siya sa atoa in our family from infancy up to the primary interactions with other persons in our environment. So, if ang usa ka person is moabot na siya sa adolescent stage, is na siya sa point where he or she starts to explore what is his or her gender identity and also about his sexuality. So, talking about identity development, to socialize or para makipaghalubilo kita sa other persons in our environment, researchers have adapted 3 general approaches to understanding identity development. We have 3. First is the sense of identity, second is the self-esteem, and third is the relationship. So we will discuss this one by one for us to deeply understand what does it mean when we say identity development, because in relation to adolescence, identity development would like to define how an adolescent behave in a society in accordance with their values, their thoughts, and their opinions. So first, let's discuss the first approaches in understanding identity development. We have the so-called sense of identity. According to a German-American psychologist and psychoanalyst, Erik Erikson, he describes adolescence as the stage during which individuals ponder the question, who am I and what can I be? So, the sense of identity, mauni siya ang usa sa mga approaches in understanding identity development, where ang usa ka adolescent is moabot siya sa point, or this is the first stage or the first approach nga ang usa ka tao, if moabot na siya sa adolescent stage, is he or she would already explore or magponder na siya is if who am I, kinsa ko, o what can I be, maunsa ko in the future, or how would I behave in the society. So sa sense of identity, this is about pondering, or this is about asking yourself as to kinsa ka, who am I, and what can I be. So aside from that, the second approaches to understanding the identity development is the self-esteem. From the word itself, self-esteem, this is in relation with confidence, and it is one factor of identity formation, where it is and the female teenagers enjoy high self-esteem when being reinforced by friends around to give them social support and moral support. So based on the description or the definition of the second approach, is sa self-esteem, nag-vary siya depending if babae ka or lalaki. if you are a girl or female teenagers, they are tend to enjoy high self-esteem when they are being reinforced by friends, or they are around with their peers, giving them social and moral support. While for male, they could assert or makaingon sila nga taas ang ilahang level of self-esteem if they have the authority, if madraw sab sila, if or kung they could be able to reach out to their friends successfully. So if we would observe, there are differences between the level of self-esteem if moabot na ka sa adolescent stage. If babae ka, ma-feel nimo nga taas ang imong self-esteem if you have your friends, group of friends nga naga-support nimo socially and morally. While for male, lahi sang ang ilang considerations para maingon nila nga taas ang ilang level of self-esteem. Taas ang ilang level of self-esteem if successful sila nga maka-reach out to their friends, and also if they have the level of authority. Last type of approaches that is developed by researchers in socializing is the relationship. So when we say relationship, this is the connection between a person to another person. So sa adolescence na to, dere na sa mag-start ang peer formation, where we would create na or makabuo na kita og circles of friends, and it is in this period which more time is spent with peers na, or mas taas ang time na atong ginaspend to our friends or to the persons outside the four corners of our home or our houses. Og mugamay na sab or malas na ang ato ang time nga atong ma-spend to our adults or to our parents and family members. Okay, the reason why sa adolescence is much more time na ang ma-spend to the peers and less in adult supervision. It's because from the very first stage or first approach in understanding identity development is if mag-reach na adolescence ang sa katao is mag-seek na siya for more people, or mag-seek na siya and mag-explore na siya on what his or her gender identity and the sexuality nga naa siya. So it is in the relationship where a specific individual would look for people who are true to them, and in order to establish stability in the world. So with these types of approaches, it is also important na bisag less na ang time na ma-spend sa usak adolescent to his or her parents and to his family members, it is still very important na parents would also encourage, or parents are encouraged to observe and check and balance their influence, or at least man lang bisag their child would spend more time to their peers. Parents are always naa sa ilahang side, na ready to listen when it comes na ma-pressure na sila, especially if they have high standards in looking for their circles of friends in accordance with their values with their values and thoughts and their opinions. Next, so in the relationship as well, when together, group members are given the opportunity to develop various social skills like empathy and sharing of experiences, wherein they get each other's support. So kibali, when they find or when they look for people who are true to them, mahatagan sab sila og chance, especially if makabuo na sila og members on their group or circles of friends, they will be given the opportunity to develop their various social skills, like they could develop their empathy and they could also share their experiences, especially if ang ilahang group of friends is having a moral and social support. Let's tackle about the gender differences in social interaction. So different cultures of individuals affect how males and females communicate with others. So in most cases, in the different cultures, it is said na females tend to self-disclose intimate particular facts more often and communicate with fondness and confidence than males. So kibali ko no, different cultures of individuals is magkalahi sab ang way nga mag-communicate with each other ang males and females. And it is said na ang females are sila ang tend to disclose information or facts with confidence kesa sa mga lalaki. And according to the studies of American scholar Julia T. Wood, who is born on 1950, she explained that the communication produces and reproduces in definition of masculinity and femininity. Kibali the way a specific person communicates to another person or to the people around him or her in her environment is mag-define siya or maka-identify siya as to how or what is his or her level of masculinity and femininity. And American professor of linguistics na si Deborah Tanens, in his study, he found that these gender differences in communication style. So naako na yung mga gender differences in social interactions, specifically in the communication styles. So naatay 5. So according to Deborah Tanen, is first, men tend to talk more than women in public situations, but women tend to talk more than men at home. So first, gender differences according to the study na na-found ni Deborah Tannen is ang mga lalaki, they are those na mas daghan or mas moistorya in public situations, while ang mga babae is sila ang mas moistorya when it comes or at home lang. Next is, women are more inclined to face each other and make eye contact when talking, while men are more likely to look away from each other. So, na-found sa ni Deborah Tannen sa iyang studies na pag ang mga babae ang mag-istorya, they are more inclined to face each other. So, mas ganahan lang mga babae mag-istorya na face-to-face and then with a connection or make an eye-to-eye contact while talking to each other. While ang mga lalaki, if makikistorya sila sa ilang mga peers or mga friends nila outside their homes, is makikistorya sila, yes, but they tend to look away from that specific person. So, ang ilang mata is dili siya mag-focus or there is no eye contact between the two nga nag-istorya. Third is, sa study sa ni Deborah Tannen is he found na men tend to jump from topic to topic but women tend to talk at length about one topic. So, in connection with the second gender differences in social interactions is if ang mga lalaki daw ang mag-istorya is daghan silang mga topic nga ma-istoryahan or from one topic after nila ana mag-discuss is mag-jump down or mag-proceed down sila sa other topic but for women if unsa ang ilang topikan they have the ability or ma-prolong yun siya ng mga topic sa mga babae, so they tend to talk at length sa usa lang ka topic mismo. Fourth, when listening, women make more noise such as and which men are more likely to listen silently. If you observe Sab, I don't know if this is the same with the result or na found ni Deborah Tannen sa iyang studies na if ang mga babae ko maminaw sa imo awal nag-istorya is they tend to make noises like dili lang sila mag-nod but they produce sounds or noise such as or okay yung ana. While ang mga men is they are those na they listen attentively or silently. They do not produce any noise. They just simply listen silently sa imuhang gipang istorya. And lastly, Deborah Tannen also found in his study na women are inclined to express agreement and support while men are more inclined to debate. So if naay tapikan is ang mga women, most of the time they are inclined to express their agreement or ang ilahang i-express if unsa ang i-feed sa ilaan na information is they tend to agree or support that specific information. But sa iyang study sab is na found out niya na ang men is dili lang sila dali-dali nga mo agree or mo support sa isa ka information, but they are those, or women are those, ang men are those people na inclined to debate. They fight for what they stand for. Dili pareha daw sa mga babae na they are inclined or easy lang sila mo express sa ilahang mga agreement and support. Next, after discussing the gender differences in social interaction, let's discuss about education. So, specifically sa education, there are varied experiences that they engage in school life would serve as a foundation for the development of strong character and respectability. A while ago, we tackled about the family, where dito nato first makatunan or gender roles were taught first from infancy up to the interaction with our peers sa ato ang environment. So, the school is our second home, or this is the second home of children, wherein they learn how to deal and adjust with people of different qualities and family orientation. So sa education, there are also differences or social interactions when it comes to gender. So sa teachers believe that boys are good at mathematics and influence them to pursue further education towards computer science or engineering, while on the other hand, girls are assumed to be more compassionate and caring for others and are encouraged to go for home caring, dressmaking, and other less analytical skills like social work, nursing, or engage in teaching profession. So if we go back sa family, if our parents taught us the notion or feed us the notion na blue color are for boys while pink color are for girls. So sa education, ang ato mga teachers is they assume na boys are good at mathematics and they are the one who influence them na mag-pursue or mag-get og mga courses na related to mathematics or towards computer science or engineering or about analytical skills sila nga mga kurso. While for girls, teachers assume na girls are more compassionate and caring, or they are onto home caring or dressmaking. So they pursued or they influence girls to go or to get courses related or courses that are less analytical, like the social work, nursing, or engaged in teaching profession. So in the social learning theory of Bandura of 1977, he concluded after a series of experiments that learning takes place when one person observes and then imitates the behavior of others. So according kuno sa social learning theory of Bandura, na ang usa ka tao is ang pag-learn or maka-learn ang usa ka tao not just by observing, but after observing, if gina-imitate niya, ginahaod niya kung unsa ang mga behavior na iyang na-observe from others. Next, let's discuss specifically the gender differences in the school in relation to education. First is their differences includes physical behavior, the style of social interactions, academic situations, and choices. So first, sa social interaction style, boys are more likely to speak up during the class recitation even if not called upon or even if they do not know as much about the topic as the other. So that is according to Sadker and Sadker 2022. So ang gender differences daw sa school, this is according to Sadker and Sadker 2022 is na found out nila in relation to social interaction style na ang mga lalaki or boys are more likely to speak up during class recitation. Moderate lang pag-istorya ang mga boys or they directly speak up during class recitation bisan pa o wala sila gitawag or even if wala sila kadayaw information or knowledge as to the specific topic. And when working on a project in a small co-ed group, they have the tendency to ignore girls' comments and contributions to the group. So talking still about the boys, if naako ni mga group activities, they tend to ignore, dili nila gina-acknowledge ang mga comments and contributions sa mga babae sa ilahang grupo. So that is one of the gender differences in the school. So continuation, let's talk about now about girls sa gender differences in the school. So girls are more motivated than boys to perform well in school during their elementary years. However, some may try to downplay their own academic ability in order to make themselves likable by both sexes. So, na-observe sad ni Davis sa iyang studies of 2005 na one of the gender differences in school is that during the elementary years, nakita niya na girls are more motivated. Mas motivated ang mga babae than boys to perform well in school. However, mag-push lang sila to downplay their own academic ability or magpa-ubos sila para lang or in order to make themselves likable by the boy sexes or ma-equate sila, mapareho sila og level sa mga lalaki na ganahan sila nga maganahan sab sa ilaa mismo. So, according to Davis 2005, ang iyahang gender differences na gi-discuss or gi-emphasize were the behaviors sa mga girls during their elementary years. And when in high school, it is observed that the youth are given the leeway to pursue courses which are associated with their gender. So, if we could recall, kaina na mention na to, na in education, teachers assume na ang mga lalaki is they are onto mathematics or analytical skills, while ang mga babae is they are into house chores lang o nag-care. So, in high school years, na-observe na ang mga youth are given the leeway to pursue courses or hatagan silang opportunity nga mag-pursue og mga courses nga associated sa gender na kung unsa sila. So, it is pursued gihapon or it is assumed na ang mga boys would still choose science, technology, and mathematics, while ang mga girls is they would go to courses or they would pursue courses which have less analytical skills, like they would go to arts and literature. So at the end of the school year, the differences in course selection makes a distinction in their respective areas of specialization. So ang differences nato sa pag-select ng ato mga courses in accordance or associated to our gender is magbuhat sab siya or makabuo sab siya of distinction in the respective areas of specialization. So, in conclusion, there is an influence or maka-influence gyud ang mga assumptions sa ato ang environment with respect to our choices, specifically sa atong education or to our family, sa outside world or sa ato ang environment. The way we communicate or the way we socialize with others is influenced siya sa kung unsay gitulo sa ato inside our homes and also with the influence of our peers. And talking about the education is our choices of our specific areas of specializations are also influenced by the assumptions and mga teachings na ginahatag or ginarelay sa ato ang mga teachers in education in our school. And that ends the first lesson of our chapter 5. And let's proceed to the second lesson, which is the gender in government and law. So, hello everyone, I'm Christine Marihilo and
I will be discussing about the practice of law. So law and justice in society play the role in fostering and handling gender equality, differences in women and men's social, economic, and political progression, which affect the way they experience law in their lives, which adversely affect their productivity. So, as the word itself, law, so it is a male dominated profession. So unlike before, the women are not allowed to enter any legal forms, and also of course in law. So today in our society, the gender equality, because women are allowed not to enter the law, and also it promotes the gender equality and for women na discriminate, and to help na ma-raise ang voices or mas ma-express sa mga women ang ilang gusto the justice they wanted to prove, lalo na kay ang woman is kanang dinadiscriminate lang, and kanang ginahatagan og mga injustice na mga doings just like that. Women became instrumental in fighting for women's rights, including reproductive rights, equal pay, and protection against the gender-based violence. Women always have been at forefront of efforts to promote diversity and inclusion in all areas of society, including the legal profession. So, the proof gives a woman na we are not just women. We have a voice to promote the real justice and the real truth sa everything. Again, woman is discriminated good. So, pagsulod sa mga women sa pag-law, there are always a discrimination nga basin dili ma-defend ang side by side tungod sa walay kaya ang women. So they discriminate naman. Always na discrimination sa women, and di dyan mawala yun. Because women are weak. Equal pay for equal work is a principle that advocates for individuals who perform the same job or similar work to receive the same pay regardless of their gender or any other personal characteristic does not relate to their job performance. The principle aims to eliminate the gender pay gap, which refers to the difference earning between men and women. This is the practice of law and Republic Act 7192. The intent of the act is to promote the integration of women as full and equal partners with men in development and nation building. So it was approved on November 18, 1992. It is an act promoting the role of women in national development as well as in the society. Mandates that all government agencies, national level, must allocate 5% of their budget to gender development or the GAD. To deepen democracy, a number of strategies have been suggested to encourage more women to engage in politics, economics, and social endeavors. So, the Republic Act 7192 promotes that would engage in the activities in society that allows women they allow women in such activities like in politics, economics, and social endeavors. It is recalled that the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, or CEDAW or CEDAW, which was signed in July 1980 and ratified on August 5, 1981, imposes obligation on government to adhere to gender equalities. So, naka-state gapon sa Republic Act of 7192, it's all about the woman and about the discrimination and all about the mga activities na i-allow na mga women to engage in such activities na ingana. This Republic Act 7192 These consist of training women for political career or teaching them how to fund raising to support women's social advocacies. This scheme would help increase gender equality. The diverse in this approach points to a wide array of solutions that envision in order to engage more women and to participate in societal and government rules. Next is the practice of law. The law reinforced the idea of acknowledging gender sensitivity. Women today, like men, struggle to gain influence change not only in home, politics, career development, or engaging. Women are not just like at home na mag-clean lang because women are powerful and women can take all the responsibilities na binahatag sa ila because we can do what men do even better. So not only men can change the world, but also we women can change the universe. So that's all for today, and thank you so much for listening.
So good day everyone, I am Desiree Fabroa, the last reporter sa Chapter 5, and today we will tackle about the sexism in language. So language is a system of symbols that we use to communicate with each other. So from the sabutable na siya, ang language is amoyan siya ang or something weapon na ito na ginagamit everyday para makasabot kita. So vehicle idea that existed for years which has been influenced greatly by dominant male of groups who have enjoyed societal power in performing words and meaning explains by Dorothy Smith as Canadian sociologist. So, for Spender daw, 1980, language is a sexiest because men who are in position power dominate and control it. So, sexism, these are vocal characteristic from people around referring to member or certain gender. So, pag wala ko nung kita ng sexism is nag-characterize ko na siya sa mga people na ginagamit as a gender. So, the English noun of guys is addressed to a group of people or group of mixed males and female, which gives the impressions that boys are more distinguished than girls. Diba, pag pag magsulti kita ng guys, is ang una mo tatak sa mga, una-una sa mga tao or sa mga estudyante is, lalaki gid una, kay before kay bala ang babae. Kay parang, guys, makuno kita, diba? Which is applicable siya sa kuan kuno sa lalaki pag kita ng guys. So the English pronoun he is used with the gender is not clearly defined whether the male or female. This promotes the idea that women are generally less important. So makabantay ka mo yon pag mag-translate ka mo sa mga kambitaw sa Google, yan mo itong Tagalog to English pag mulang kita nakita or mulang na may ginagawa siya, tapos pag i-translate mo sa English is ang nakabutang din nga to kay he, which is murag naga-promote bitaw siya ng mas less important kuno ang mga babae kay di ba kay pag mulaong kita ng siya is ang pinakauna din matatak sa mga tao is lalaki gay then or he. Makabantay ka mo yan sa kuan pag mag-translate ka mo sa Google ng Tagalog to English. Most feminists agree that there are sex difference in language in terms of the way men and women are represented in the language. So, sa ilak most of the feminists ko no agree ko no sila ang sa six differences ko no sa language is mas kwan ko no ang mga lalaki kontra sa mga babae. So the research is in the field of gender and language has interpreted male and female linguistics in three ways. So women's powerlessness and subordinate status, di ba mas way kuno power ng mga babae kontra sa mga lalaki. So, male dominance and control of the language, di ba mas makuhaan ng lalaki kontra sa mga babae. So, men and women language differences are equally valid communicate styles. Lack of identified differences between the language use and speech styles of men and women, such as women use a wider range of color in terms than men, and discriminate more precisely between different shades of the same color. They use words such as beige, aquamarine, and lavender which are not used by men.
So, di ba kay ang sa women is nagagamit sila ng mga color maski black or blue ma-fit sa men ay sa women rather. And then sa mga men is dili siya ginagamit kuno ang mga lavender, beige or aquamarine kay 'di ba ang pinaka main gid na color ang dili ginagamit ng men is ang pink kaya nila kuno mindset is dili siya pwede pang lalaki kay tungod pwede na kuno sa babae. Amen ila mindset. So women tend to avoid speaking in a way that conveys strong emotions that generally use weaker than men. Older and men and shit. Di ba kay, makabantay ka mo pag yun ang babae sa una or kuman, makabantay ka mo pag ang babae na murag kumita siya, murag may isulti na murag ito ng pang bad words is, ay nagamit kay, oh dear, or something, naman ba sila na, unsa man ka, something na, pero ang sa lalaki, naman siya ng shit, uno ba nga na ng mga word na mga bad words ang ginagamit nila kay okay sa kuno lagi kay tungod lalaki sila pag babae dili siya okay. So, thank you for listening guys.
Good morning, Mom. Good morning, everyone. I am the first reporter of Chapter 6, which is Gender and Human Rights. Human rights is a term that is used and abused nowadays. Term employed to defend human freedom as well as destroy it. Fundamental because it provides fairness and equality in human society. After World War II in 1948, the United Nations General Assembly decided to implement a Universal Declaration of Human Rights as the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world. So, ang human rights sila ang nag-promote ng fairness and equality sa tanan tao, and diha sila mag-base kung unoy mga dapat himuon or dili, whether makadaot ba ang imo buhaton sa lain or ma-disregard ang ila rights sa isa ka butang. Forms of violation against women's rights. According to the United Nations Development Fund for Women, violation against women is widespread violation of fundamental human rights and enduring form of gender-based prejudice. It occurs in every society which affects most women, regardless of their age or social-economic status. So, violence against a woman, kaya ang mga panghimuon bitaw na ma-disregard ang rights sa mga babae or pasakitan sila in any way. Violence against women has different forms, namely domestic violence. This form of violence occurs when one person tries to assert power over their partner. It can be emotional, financial, physical, or sexual abuse. The major types of abuse committed against women experiencing domestic violence are physical abuse. Physical abuse, perceptible type of abuse, it may result in physical injury or some cases can be life-threatening. So, physical abuse, yaon pasakitan ka physically, for example, sumbagon, dapayon, or something sipaon. Then next, emotional psychological abuse. The most common type of violence experienced by women and children. It also a means of creating a power imbalance within a relationship. It often involves threats or physical force, being put down, always criticized and controlled, intimidation, and forcing unwanted sexual acts. So, emotional psychological abuse, yan, kontrolon ka, hadlokon, di ka physically pasakitan pero i-pressure ka. Then next, financial economic abuse. Abuses uses money to control his partner. It includes denial of funds for food and basic needs, controlling family finances, etc. So financial abuse, like dyan ikaw ang nagtrabaho tas kuhaan sa imo ang kwarta, or in some other case, di ka pahawi dun sa kwarta. Dili muhatag ang imo partner or nang panggastos niyo or something na uban na di siya musuporta.
So good day, ma'am. My name is Delman Remorta and I am the next reporter. So my topic is rape and sexual assault. One of the worst and most heinous forms of assault on a human to another that can be afflicted. It occurs if a woman is forced to participate in a sexual act without her consent. This may take in the form of coercion or physical violence. So when we say rape, if someone forces you to have sex with you or has sex with you without your consent, that is rape. So rape is when someone penetrates someone's genitals, anus, or mouth with their genitals without consent. So no one has the right to force you to have sex or to have sex with you without your consent. So when we say sexual assault, if someone intentionally hold or touches you in a sexual way that you don't want or forces you to kiss someone or do something else sexual against you, well, that's sexual assault. So this includes sexually touching any part of someone's body, and it makes no difference whether you are clothed or not. So anyone can be sexually assaulted and anyone commit a sexual assault. So next is the prostitution, the act of engaging in promiscuous sexual relation, especially for money. Most women involved in her are poor, abused, and have low self-esteem opportunity. Many cases are recruited into prostitution by force, fraud, or coercion. So women need money to support themselves or to support their family, yaon sabang to support ang ila drug habits. So many were abused as children, either physical or sexual or both. So next is human trafficking. Human trafficking is the act of engaging promise akuan no, dili ba? Human trafficking is recruitment, transport, and transfer of person with or without their consent or knowledge within or across national borders using different forms of coercion including abduction, deception, and fraud. So, human trafficking is a crime that involves compelling or coercing or a person to provide labor or services or to engage in commerciality. Then, victims are typically recruited through deception. So, magkuhan sila ng mga with the promise of a better life, yung threats, force, threats of force for the role, purpose of exploitation. So next is female genital mutilation involves the partial or total removal of the external female genitalia of a girl for cultural or other non-therapeutic reasons. So FGM is carried out as a way to control women's sexuality, which is sometimes said to be insatiable and parts of the genitalia, especially the clitoris, are not removed. It is thought the ensure virginity before marriage and fidelity afterward and not in, increase male sexual pleasure. So, next is the forced marriage. So, when takes place when the bride does not want to marry the groom but is forced to by others, usually by their families. So, ang sa first marriage kay kasagaran ini mahitabo siya sa mga kwartahan. So can happen to anyone from any background and nationality, and can affect both males and females. That only happen to young people, it can happen to adults too. So next is sexual harassment. So occurs when unwanted conduct has the purpose or effect of violating a person's dignity and creating an intimidating, degrading, hostile, humiliating, or offensive environment for the person. So as a type of harassment involving the use of explicit or implicit sexual. So over to including the unwelcome and inappropriate promises of rewards in exchange for sexual favors.
Good day everyone, my name is Glendel Santiago and my topic is Women and Empowerment. So what is women and empowerment? Women empowerment is the process of increasing the capacity of women to choose and to transform those choices into desired actions and outcomes. It is a process that makes her an agent of change. So meaning, women can be empowered through supporting their sense of self-worth, their freedom to make their own decision, and their right to have an impact on social change for both themselves and other people. Empowering women through movement. In 1893, Lodja de Adoption was formed, or Lodge of Adoption. This Masonic Lodge of Filipino Women's Society was an essential link in the growing anti-Spanish movement at the time and was mainly composed of the enlightened intellectuals and members of the well-to-do and highly respected families. The following are the known Filipino women patriots. Number 1 is Trinidad Texon, mother of Biak na Bato, who began her revolutionary activities during the preparation for the Revolution of 1986 by procuring arms in various raids. So she fought fearlessly in 12 bloody battles of the Revolution in Bulacan, including the famous Battle of Biak na Bato. Later she became known as the Mother of the Philippine Red Cross. She was named as the Mother of Philippine Red Cross because she nursed sick and wounded Katipuneros in home at Biak na Bato. She was given the title Mother of Biak na Bato by General Aguinaldo. Number 2 is Hilaria Aguinaldo, wife of General Emilio Aguinaldo, who founded the Association de Damas de Cruz Roja, Women's Red Cross Association in 1899, an organization which coordinated the humanitarian work of the women. So, Hilaria Aguinaldo is the wife of Emilio Aguinaldo, who worked for the welfare of Filipino revolutionary soldiers. She organized a Red Cross Association with headquarters at Malolos, Bulacan, in an effort to stimulate and coordinate humanitarian works by women. Number 3 is Constancia Poblete. Constancia Poblete accomplished what armed force could not do. Composed of women, the Peace League in August of 1900s, initiated by Miss Constancion Poblete and other women who were armed only with faith and goodwill, succeeded in establishing peace where the machinery of war and superiority in numbers had not enabled the enemy to enforce it. Number 4, Concepcion Felix de Calderon founded the Asociación Feminista Filipina, Feminist Association of the Philippines in 1905 promote the social welfare of women and their participation into public matters. So Concepcion Felix de Calderon was known for being one of the Philippines' earliest feminists. She was one of the founders of the first women's club in the country, the Association Feminista Filipina, which a social reform group fighting for prison and labor reform for women and children, established in June 1905. Other feminist organization and leaders. So a year later in 1906, the Association Feminista Ilongga was founded by Pura Villanueva Calao. Together, the two women's organization planted the seed of women's suffrage, going around the country to awaken as equal partners of men in nation building. Is La Protección de la Infancia, or Protection for Infants. So Gata de Leche registered in 1907 as La Protección de la Infancia Incorporation is the country's oldest citizen-led charity organization, a 115-year-old program to rescue poor children of preschool age from hunger and malnutrition. Gata de Leche provides milk, food supplements, and medical services. Gata de Leche system aims to reverse the health status of the large groups of indigent children from wasted to normal growth. So number 3 is Gabriela Silang, 1763. Gabriela Silang is the best known as the first female leader of the revolutionary movement against the Spanish colonizers. She is one of the most prominent figures of the revolution and one of the most distinguished women in Philippine history. Number 4 is Teresa Ferraris Magbanwa, a teacher turned revolutionary leader known as the Visayan Joan of Arc. Magbanwa was one of the few women to join the Visayan arm of the Katipunan. She is said to be one of the only women to lead troops in the Visayas during Philippine Revolution against Spain. Number 5 is Marcelo, known as Silang Bagsik, Ferocious Sila, Generala Sila, or General Sila, hailed from Malibay, formerly a part of Palanyag or Pasay City. She was reported to be a very brave fighter, one who would not flinch in the face of the Spanish onslaught. Number 6 is Agueda Cahabagan, 1899. Only woman in the list of generals in the Philippines Army who fought in the battlefield against the Spanish forces and became known as Generala Agueda. So aside from Marcelo, we have Agueda Cahabagan, who fought in the battlefield against Spanish forces. Number 7, Delfina Natividad, 1900s, well-known Filipino, together with Marcela Agoncillo and her daughter Lorenza, who sang together the Philippine flag and for being the niece of the national hero of the Philippines, Jose Rizal. Number 8, Gregoria de Jesus, 1943, known as Aling Oryang, who founded and became the keeper of the documents of the women's chapter of the Katipunan of the Philippine, wife of Gat Andres Bonifacio, the leader of the Katipunan. So Gregoria de Jesus, also known as Oryang, so she founded the Katipunan's women chapter and served as its vice president at the time when joining the revolutionary forces was extremely perilous. Oryang and other Katipuneras were responsible to do tasks which only women could do without arising suspicion from Spaniards.
Good day everyone, I am Anthony Cagasan, a BA 2 FMD student. I am from Group 3 and I am going to discuss to you about laws that empowered the Filipino women. As time passed by, a lot of changes happened. The way how we think, weather, even the geographic features of the earth. Mountains are growing, places are moving. And I do believe that everything changes, especially when we talk about women empowerment. Because we are living in a modern world where women can do what men can. Remember, in politics, we already have two female presidents, and in any fields, we can already see a lot of females. For example, in engineering, there are a lot of female engineers. Law, female lawyers, even in astronaut. Recently, we have the first Filipino astronaut, and it's very sarap sa feeling. Charis. Without further ado, let's discuss the laws that empowered the Filipino women. Number 1, Philippine Constitution Article 13, also known as Women, Section 14, the state shall protect all working women by providing safe and healthful working conditions, taking into account their maternal functions and such facilities and opportunities that will enhance their welfare and enable them to realize their full potential in the service of the nation. This bill addresses the need of women for sufficient medical screening during their maternity period. This bill mandates a one-day leave every month with payment from filing of notice of such pregnancy until delivery, abortion, or miscarriage. This prenatal leave benefits is in accordance with Republic Act number 9710 or the Magna Carta of Women, which recognize the right of women to support services that will enable them to balance their family obligations and work responsibilities. The second one is Republic Act 6725 of 1989, an act to strengthen the prohibition of discrimination against women concerning terms and conditions of employment. It defines discrimination as paying lesser compensation to a woman for work of equal value and favoring male employee on account of sex with respect to promotions, training opportunities, study, and scholar grants. In addition to penalties provided under the code, the aggrieved employee may file a claim for money damages and affirmative relief. The third one is Republic Act 6949 of 1990, an act to declare March 8 as a special working holiday and to be known as National Women's Day. This Republic Act was signed by President Marco Aquino on April 10, 1990. The law further strengthened the impetus for the celebration by declaring every March 8 as a special working holiday and enjoying employees from the government and private sector to participate in activities conducted by their offices. The fourth one is Republic Act 6955 of 1990, an act to declare the unlawful way of pairing Filipino women to foreign nationals for marriage or a mail order basis and other similar practices, including the advertisements and publications. Republic Act 6955 outlawed mail order bride services in the Philippines, banning the practice of matching especially Filipino women for marriage to foreign national using mail, advertisement, publication, printing, or distribution of brochures, flyers, and other propaganda materials. Towards the approval of the measure, the state shall prevent the exploitation of Filipinos, male and female, and protect them from unlawful practices, businesses, and schemes which offer Filipino for marriage to unscrupulous foreign nationals and expose them to abuse, exploitation, prostitution, and violence situation. Under the law, violators shall suffer an imprisonment of not less than 6 years and 1 day, but not more than 8 years, and a fine of not less than 8,000 pesos, but not more than 20,000 pesos. The fifth one is the Republic Act 6972 of 1990, an act to establish a barangay-based daycare center to free women for other activities like taking a job or going back to school. Daycare care for children of working mother during the day, and where feasible, care for children up to 6 years of age when mother are working at night, provided that the daycare center need to take care of the children in the particular place, but shall develop network of homes where women may take care of their children up to 6 years of age of working mothers during work hours, with adequate supervision from the supervising social welfare office of age of working no welfare office of the Development of Social Welfare and Development. Provided further that where young children are left to be care of a paid domestic, an elderly relative, or older children without adequate and competent adult supervision, the supervising social welfare office shall provide such training and adult supervision until the children's care meets adequate standards, whereby the children under their care will develop more normally as healthy, happy, and loved children, even in the absence of their mother during working hours. The sixth one is Republic Act 7192 of 1992, an act to uphold women's integration as equal partners of men in development of nation building. The intent of National Economic and Development Authority is given primary responsibility for carrying out the purposes of the Act. The Act grants women, regardless of their marital status, full legal capacity to act and to enter into contracts. It grants them equal access to membership in all social, civic, and recreational clubs, as well as the right to admission into military school. Full-time homemakers shall have the right to participate in government-sponsored social security schemes. 7. Republic Act 7322 of 1992, an act to increase the maternity benefits in favor of women workers in the private sectors. A covered female employee who had paid at least 3 monthly contribution to the social security system in the case of private sector employees or government service insurance system or GSIS in the case of the government employees preceding the semester of her childbirth, abortion, or miscarriage, and who is currently employed shall be paid a daily maternity benefits equivalent to 150% of her present basic salary, allowances, and other benefits or cash equivalent of such benefits for 84 calendar days subjected to the following conditions. Next one is Republic Act 7600 of 1992. Wait, oh my goodness. An act to provide both government and private environment where essential physical, emotional, and psychological needs of mother and infants immediately after birth are fulfilled through the practice of rooming in and breastfeeding. Excuse me. It is declared policy of the state that it values the dignity of every human person and guarantees full respect for human rights. The state shall likewise protect and promote the right of health of the people and instill consciousness among them. Breastfeeding a child is an important and basic act of nurturing and must be protected in the interest of maternal health, child health, and family values. A mother has the right to breastfeed a child in any location, public or private, where the mother and children are otherwise authorized to be present, irrespective to whether or not the mother's breast is covered during or incidental to the breastfeeding. And the ninth one, which is the last republic law that I am going to discuss to you, and the other remaining one will be going to discuss by other member. So the last one is the number 9, Republic Act 7688 of 1994, an act to give representation to women in Social Security Commission. The extent of women's participation in politics and women's access to decision making can be seen as the key indicators of gender equality in a society. Gender equality in decision making is to be viewed in the context of whether women are in position to make or influence public decisions on the same footing as men. However, women have to overcome a lot of obstacles to create an impact in politics, as leadership is still viewed as male strength. That's all. Thank you.
Hello everyone. By the way, I am Beverly Rose Colipano and I will be the next reporter, and I will be reporting to you the continuation of the laws that empowered the Filipino women. So next, we have number 10, which is RA 7877 of 1995. It is an act that declares sexual harassment as unlawful in the employment, education, or training development. So, as stated, it is an act that declares that sexual harassment in employment and education or training development is deemed unlawful. So, pwede na mapreso anyone that does sexual harassment towards, or harassment, especially sexual harassment towards the women, especially in those sectors. Then we have RA 7882 of 1995. It is an act to provide aid to women, especially those who own small businesses, in order to fully harness the talents and skills of the female labor force. So it is an act that provides help in the development of the talents and skills of the women, especially in the labor force, and especially to those who have small businesses. Then we have number 12, the RA 8353 of 1997. It is an act to reclassify the definition of the crime rape into a crime against a person. So in this act, this Republic Act, they this change or reclassify the definition of the crime rape. Instead, this is the crime rape is deemed to be a crime against a person now. So next we have Number 13, which is the RA 8369 of 1997. It is an act to establish family courts to have exclusive original jurisdiction over child and family cases. So, an act that establishes family courts. So, it is like a court in which, or it is like a jurisdiction. Oh, it is where the family has to say some when it comes to the jurisdiction over a child or a family case. So they were given this act gives them the privilege to have an exclusive and original jurisdiction over these cases. So number 14, we have RA 8505 of 1998, which is the Rape Victim Assistance and Protection Act. So it is, as stated, it is an act to provide protection and assistance for rape victims. So this act, they help those victims, rape victims. They provide protection for them and assistance. I'm not sure, but maybe apple na nga na ang financial assistance. Anyway, but let's focus on the protection. So those victims were protected under this act, which is RA 8505 of the 1998, the Rape Victim Assistance and Protection Act. Next, we have number 15, which is RA 8972 of 2000, which is a Solo Parents Welfare Act. It is an act to provide benefits and privileges to solo parents and their children. So, this is an act from the name itself, Solo Parents Welfare Act. So for those single parents, they are given the privilege and the benefits, for solo parents and as well as their children. They are given benefits such as like in the school, in education, and employment and such. Then, so that is the RA 8972 of 2000, the Solo Parents Welfare Act. Next, we have number 16, the RA 9208 of 2003, which is the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act. It is an act to institute policies to eliminate human trafficking, especially to women and children. This act eliminates, or like this act stops the human trafficking, especially to women and children. Women and children human trafficking. This act is the one that helps or institute policies. Like this act institute policies, creates policies to stop the human trafficking. So that is the RA 9208 of 2003 Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act. Then we have number 17, the RA 9262 of 2004, the Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children's Act, or the VAUSI, I believe. Yes, and VAUSI, so it is an act to declare criminalization of violence against women and their children, or the VAUSI, and protection of women and their children in the context of marital dating, or common law relationship. Declaration of VAUSI as a public crime. So, Violence Against Women and Children's Act. From Anti-Violence Against Women and Children's Act, from the word itself, it is an act that declares criminalization. So any violence to women or children is deemed to be a crime. with this act, this RA 9262 of 2004, this provides protection of women and to their children, especially in the context of marital dating. Common law relationship like marriage and such, declaration of vows as a public crime. So that is the RA 9262 of 2004, Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children's Act. Next, we have number 18, the RA 10354 of 2012, the Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Act. So it is an act to provide for a national directive on responsible parenthood and reproductive health. This acts provide nationalized directive. So this helps they provide the directions or like learning what do you call that? Basta like they provide information as to or help as to how to become a responsible parent and to be and also in the reproductive health. This RA helps the women, or not just the women, probably this is for the parents, usually since it is responsible for parenthood. Then that is it. They help by providing national directive. This act, which is the RA 1035-4 of 2012. Then lastly, we have number 19, RA 9710 of Magna Carta of Women, which is an act to remove discrimination against women by fulfilling, recognizing, promoting, protecting, and promoting the rights, especially those in the marginalized sectors. So this provides, this act remove the discrimination against the women by fulfilling, recognizing, and promoting, protecting, promoting the rights. No, this act promote the rights of the women, protects the women, and especially those who are in marginalized sectors, those who are in the lowest of lows, as they say.
Rights and struggles. Act to the International Convention on Civil Political Rights. The lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender LGBT persons have personal freedom. Homophobia, struggles faced by LGBT in the society. LGBT is an initialism that stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. The homophobia definition is the fear, hate, discomfort with, or mistrust of people who are lesbian, gay, or bisexual. Ang homophobia ay tumutukoy sa mga negatibong saloobin sa homoseksualidad, mga individual na homosexual o mga paniniwalang homosexual. Marginalization and social exclusion. Amoy niya ang effect if i-discriminate ang tao, pwede siya mo lead into suicidal that if we need nato ng dako ng pagsabot sa ila sitwasyon o hatagan tanang respeto ang LGBT community kay parehas na kita tanang pantay-pantay. Victims of hate crimes and violence. LGBT community are mostly prone in harassment and discrimination. Maraming matao ang di tanggap ang LGBT, lalong-lalo dito sa Pilipinas. Ibahin naman natin ang ating paniniwala. Kailangan din natin sila tanggapin dahil bukod sa sila ay nagbigay kasiyahan sa atin, sila din ay mga tao na ginawa nilikha ng
LGBT movement in the Philippines. The LGBT movement has been very supportive and energetic in making a change in the community. Is LGBT already accepted in our society? Although they already accepted in our society, pero there's still a discrimination and iban. Discrimination judgment, inequality, violence. These are terms that mostly LGBT suffer and experience in our society. That is why LGBT creates movement and in a organization. Some of the movements are the following. 1. ACOD. It is a gay support group at the Oriental State of the Science and Technology. 2. Sigma Alpha Nu, first fraternity in the Philippines for all who identify themselves as men regardless of sexual orientation. Began in 2014. This is an organization of ladies from the University of the Philippines with the primary cause of serving the Filipino people. Alpha Nu began in the 2014 and considered the Philippine first openly gay fraternity. Alpha Nu is recognized by the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and advocates non-violence institution, gender sensitivity, and physical and psychological support. It holds annual forums on HIV awareness. And next, BISDAC, Bisayang Dako, a Cebu-based organization which recruits gender equality and sponsor and organize educational forums to various communities to help Filipinos understand gender issues, especially in promoting human rights in the context of HIV/AIDS prevention. Next is 4. Equality Philippines, or non-profit organization to promote and safeguard the rights of LGBT members and allies in the Philippines. True Colors Coalition, or TCC, political LGBT organization to continue the community's struggle for equality, acceptance, and freedom by organizing, educating, and mobilizing the community and its allies, and campaigning to end all forms discrimination. TCC is a member of Kilusan para sa Pambansang Demokrasya, or Kilusan. Next is Gahom, a gay support and advocacy group in Cebu City. Rainbow Rights, or R Rights Philippine, formerly the Rainbow Rights, non-profit, non-partisan, non-government organization to create an environment which upholds human rights and equal opportunities for all regardless of sexual orientation and gender identity or expression. Next is IWAG, a social and support group in Davao City. It is a gay social support group which it gives advocacy and support to all gay people in Davao City. The lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ people in the Philippines have distinctive culture in society. Next is Lundayan ng Sining, sanctuary art of registered lesbian art studio providing a venue for lesbian and art in Quezon City. It is a group of young and active women, loving women who believe in artistic ability and beautiful vision of lesbian. Next is Pinoy FTM, the first organization for transsexual and transgender men in the Philippines, founded in July 2011 in Metro Manila. Is both a support group and education-based activist group working to help Filipino trans men with their lives and issues. And is Yusip Maharlika, the first LGBT student organized at the University of Southeastern Philippines, established in 2013, is an LGBT organized in USIP that aims to forge unity among lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender students of the university. Next is Pro-Gay Philippines, or Progressive Organization of Gays in the Philippines. It is organization of gays right in Manila that led the first Pride March in the Philippines in 1994. a gay rights organization in Metro Manila headed by Dan noong September 21, 2003. Itinatag ni Danton Remoto, professor sa Ateneo de Manila University, ang political na partido ng ladlad sa simula. Hindi pinayagan ng COMELEC ang mga ladlad na tumakbo sa halalan 2010 dahil sa basehang immoralidad. Subalit noong Abril 2010, ang partido ito ay ganap ng pinayagan ng kataas-taasang hukuman ng Pilipinas na sila ay lumhok sa halalan. PUP Cabaro is a gender equality activist organization at the Polytechnic University of the Philippines. Kapisanan ng mga baklang may progresibong orientasyon. Cabaro PUP believes that human rights should be for all regardless of sexual orientation and gender identity, not just gays and lesbian, but it is also other people of different sexual orientation. 12. Rainbow Rights. It is a non-governmental organization that supports human rights and equal opportunities regardless of gender identity and sexual orientation. Rainbow Rights is an innovative LGBT organization that aims to create awareness and education about LGBT rights, creates discourse, and establish legal policies for Filipino. Third, next, True Colors. True Colors Coalition political LGBT organization that promotes the struggle for equality, acceptance, and freedom. True Colors Coalition political LGBT works to create a world where LGBTQ+ youth thrive. Their mission is to ensure LGBTQ+ youth of all backgrounds are safe, valued, and able to be their authentic selves. They do by providing education, advocacy, and support to LGBTQ+ youth, their families and communities, and those who work with them. And next is UP Babaylan. It is a first LGBT students organization in the Philippines, established in UP Diliman in 1992. UP Babaylan is the longest existing duly recognized LGBTQI student organization in the Philippines and in Asia based in UP Diliman. 15 is UPLB Babaylan in Los Baños, Laguna. Is an LGBT organization and support group of UP Los Baños which promotes gender equality among the student body. Especially, it aims to identify how the LGBTs come out with their true sexual identity, the perceptions of the LGBT regarding others, stigmatization to their sexual identity, the perception of LGBT towards acceptance of other people in terms of their sexual identity, and how such reaction of others affects their own self-acceptance.